sure you guys have been following all this stuff that's been going on with James Gunn. Clearly, the press for Superman has begun. He's out there discussing. He's been saying a lot of different things. And as DC peeps, you guys got to be happy with all the information that you're getting in general. But this was an interesting tidbit that came out of this. And forgive me because my glasses broke today at the gym.
What are you going to do, Kristian?
HARLOFF, you got to have like 4 or 5 pairs. Come on.
I do. They're all at my place. That's the problem. So we're going to see how we do today. What's hilarious is this. If you guys really want to see what's going on here, I'll show you. I have to let me. This is actually pretty funny. So do you notice this, Roxy? Can you see this? What's going on?
Are those lady glasses?
They don't look. Oh. I was gonna say there's something a little wonky, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
I have to go like that in order to see anything right now. That's how bad this is.
Wait, Kristian, it's better to have them with one than it is with none.
No, not. I mean, only if I'm blinking. It's pretty horrible either way. But DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn has confirmed that Warner Brothers wanted him to recast Henry Cavill as the Man of Steel before 2021's The Suicide Squad, and talks more about his approach to the Superman reboot. Josh Wilding writes, in 2018, Disney fired James Gunn when a series of offensive past tweets resurfaced, with fans and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's A-list cast heavily criticizing the decision. Warner Brothers wasted no time enlisting the filmmaker's services. That led to Gunn helming 2021's The Suicide Squad. While he'd eventually return to Marvel Studios to finish the Guardians trilogy, Gunn's newfound relationship with the rival studio led to him eventually being appointed DC Studios co-CEO. It's no secret that Warner Brothers offered Gunn a Superman movie before the Suicide Squad, but it wouldn't have been a Man of Steel 2 or a movie starring Henry Cavill. This is what he said in EW. Warner Brothers initially offered Gunn Superman prior to directing 2021 The Suicide Squad back in the previous era of DC storytelling. Even then, before plans were firmly in place, the studio wanted a new actor to play Superman after Cavill. So it was even more messy than it is now, Gunn says. But more importantly, he adds, I didn't have that special idea of what that film would be. This lines up with various reports claiming that Cavill had quietly been fired from the role of Superman after refusing to make a cameo in 2019 Shazam. It wasn't until The Rock went over his employers' heads to bring Cavill back for Black Adam that Warner Brothers' hand was forced, and Cavill was tapped to appear in The Flash and a potential Man of Steel follow-up. That never came to fruition, and when Gunn took over, he immediately decided to recast Superman's title role. As far as what that special idea ended up being, Gunn noted, over the years, the stories that I've told have gotten more, less in your face. I wanted to tell the story about someone who is truly good in a world that doesn't value goodness, in a world that makes fun of basic kindness and basic human values. The fact that he can fly and lift buildings and shoot lasers, beams out of his eyes, was really secondary to who he was as a person and what he stood for. Cavill's time as Superman came to an unceremonious end, as he didn't shy away from expressing his disappointment with Gunn's decision. However, he got to take another crack at a superhero with his unforgettable cameo in the Calvarine in Deadpool and Wolverine. This is interesting all the way around, Rox, because, like we said, the stuff that I really liked in this, and in general, what James Gunn is doing, he's been very clear in talking about how it's not just this impervious to pain, indestructible version of Man of Steel. It's going to be a vulnerable Superman. It's going to be someone that can be beaten. And it's also going to show his human side, which is essentially the essence of what Superman is about. It's about him becoming a human and him finding humanity, being raised by human beings. So I like those comments. I like the idea that he really does understand. It seems like he really, really gets, and I'm going to get Mike's opinion on this, obviously, too, as the big DC guy.
Nah.
But he seems like he gets Superman. Like he really understands the essence of what Superman's all about. Before we get into the Cavill side of it, do you agree with that assessment? Warm weather hits suddenly. I'm juggling vacations. There's visitors, zero routine. Hydro brings me back to that structure so I can get quick, efficient workouts that keep me feeling grounded no matter what my calendar looks like. So for Hydro, if you didn't know, I've been telling you guys, I've been going and working out 4 days a week, but I need other things sometimes when I can't get to the gym. And I've been really loving Hydro, because one thing that I love, you never get bored. Hydro's got tons of workouts with actual Olympians, and they're filmed in these gorgeous outdoor spots all over the world. It makes it way easier to stay motivated. Doesn't matter If you're training hard or just trying to stay active, Hydro really meets you where you're at. It's low impact, so it's easy on your joints, but still gives you that perfect mix of strength and cardio. If you're on the fence, there's a free shipping, 30-day risk-free trial, and Hydro offers a full-year warranty. Honestly, no pressure. Just try it and see how it feels. Getting a good sweat used to mean hours in the gym. Hydro, you can do it all at home on my schedule, 20 minutes. Rowing on my Hydro gets me that full-body workout without ever having to leave my house. It's so easy. I have it set up now. I was so excited when I got it, and it really does. You feel like you can't even describe how amazing it is to hit all of these spots. So you can skip the gym, not the workout. Stay on track with Hydro. For a limited time, go to hydro.com and use the code Kristian to save up to $470 off your Hydro. HYDROW.com. Use that code Kristian. Save up to $475. Hydro.com. Use the code Kristian.
Just about Gunn understanding Superman. Yeah, I do. You know, I'm rereading All-Star Superman right now because that is what he has said. He's pulling a lot of inspo for this, and I think it's so funny to watch all of the people online be like, "Why is Superman keep getting his butt kicked in the trailer? Superman's not supposed to be weak. Superman's supposed to have no weaknesses other than kryptonite." La 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 la, and anybody who's read that comic knows that he like continuously keeps getting his butt kicked like so many times. Because Superman's about how he gets up, not about what gets him down, and about hope and about being somebody who, despite him being not relatable to us at all in any way, because he's an alien who is all powerful, he is so relatable to us in his feelings and in what we aspire to be every day. I actually really, really like All-Star Superman. Mike, I have never even talked to you about it. I'm curious your thoughts on that as well. But I think that James Gunn clearly has a good grip on Superman so far. These quotes didn't help me think that, though, which I know you said we'll get to that. But these quotes were kind of like, I wonder I wonder what is going on here, or what went on here in the past.
Right. What do you think about this, Mike? As far as like Superman and Gunn's, understanding of the character.
I think the most telling thing is the fact that he didn't want to do it 5 years ago when he didn't have an idea. Right. Like the fact that he had you could tell filmmakers when they're given a property that they have no connection to or don't know the story. The script was written and they just were like, all right, well, yeah, I'll take a crack at it, as opposed to, oh, now I can do this because now I have this story I want to tell. And I think everything about it, like as far as his powers go, like I kind of course, got into it with people online about this, and oh Christ,
just go with it. Just go with it. Go ahead.
The original animated series, Superman the animated series, that was a big point of Bruce Timm and them. They were like, we needed to depower him because it's just not fun. The stories aren't good when he can beat anyone except like Darkseid, and then it's a bit of a challenge. So it's like you got to have him. And again, he's not powered. He's still got his powers, but things slow him down. I remember there was one scene, like it was a robot attacking him with like machine guns, and it was like slowing him down. He was still going forward, but it was a little bit more of a challenge. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I like the idea. I want to see how they're doing. I like so far the idea of putting together emotional characters within the Superman universe and bringing this comic accurate Superman is very intriguing to me. I'm very excited to see how they're going to make this work leading into the DCU overall. Now the Henry Cavill side of it is very interesting because it does seem like the powers that be, I think it was Walter Hamada at the time, or whoever it was, didn't want him anymore. They wanted him out. Now, whether it was like pettiness as far as because he didn't want to do the cameo or whatever it might be, they didn't want him anymore. They wanted to get rid of him, but also it's a bit of a head scratcher because it just shows you they didn't really have a plan over there because there was no plan. It was like, well, if you're not gonna, yeah, go ahead.
The fact that they said he's like, he wanted my new Superman, but we were still going, but they hadn't like that other hadn't stopped yet. Like you just like, it was like spaghetti at a wall, seeing what would stick. And then when The Rock came in, like, did anyone actually believe when he was all like, we're going to bring the power back and the power shifting, and DC's like, what's going on here with this? Like, he
believed it. And
The Rock did, sure. But
right. And the thing is with that movie, that's the other thing. This is what I talk about. Like if that movie would have, if you would have scaled it back a little bit and you would have made that movie for cheaper, and bring in Henry Cavill in there, they might have had a shot to build out the DCU. If you look at it, man, the movie costs almost like $300 or $400 million. No, not that much. But I think it was like it was a really high price, 200, 250, whatever it was. It was a high price, whatever that was. Too much. And if you would have made that movie for, let's say, if you would take a cut in The Rock's cost, whatever it might have been, made it for like $85-90 million. The movie made like $400 million, something like that, or 390, whatever it made. It got close to making its money back, but or a little less, whatever it was. It was a failure because of that. If it would have made money, you had a shot to continue it on.
To what, Kristian?
To maybe have The Rock have a little bit more power than he ultimately did. It was like, well, you can't.
But go down that thought for a second. If it had made money, then what? We would have gone. What would have been our slate? What would have been our?
Well, it was probably Black Adam related, obviously, because remember they didn't want to. You didn't want to remember the whole thing, that the fallout that happened with Zach Levi, where there was the back and forth with The Rock that he didn't want to do Shazam. It was too goofy, but it looked like it was gonna be Black Adam, another Man of Steel movie. The Rock was trying to get a hold of the DCU seat. He was trying to get the King's chair, and if that it would have been Black Adam heavy, followed by Superman stuff, that would have been what it was circled around.
So Black Adam, Shazam, and Superman.
I don't even think Shazam would have made the cut, but I think that's what you would have. I think that's what you would have started with.
I just think even if it had made money, we would have ended up eventually in the same spot. I agree with you.
I agree with you more.
They might have given The Rock a little more reins for a brief time, but ultimately we would have ended here. I just think it's wild to think about. Like, I'm having crazy deja vu and flashbacks having Mikey here and hearing about all of these past rumors that we used to talk about every single week about, like, what's going on with this? What's going on here? And remembering how confusing some of the news stories were, because it was like, wait, what? So you're telling me in the middle, after only having one Man of Steel movie, you guys were thinking about recasting Henry Cavill, not rebooting, just recasting Henry Cavill? That's how they're phrasing this.
It was petty. It was petty.
We were thinking about recasting Henry Cavill. What? Yeah. In the middle of your DCEU, you're going to recast your Superman out of the blue? Like, no, it was bonkers. I mean,
really, but I do understand. But this is why I said, when we were talking about this, Roxy, 2 years ago, why it all made sense that everybody was going to be recast inside the DCEU. But at the time, politically, they couldn't say that because they had movies coming out. That they
imagine if they had just recast.
No, I know.
Did nothing.
Well, you can't do that.
Also, I don't even know, Kristian, if politically they felt like they couldn't say something, because look at what they did before Flash came out, where they were like, by the way, we're done. So see this movie or don't see this movie, but it has nothing to do with us anymore.
Well, yes and no. Remember that when that was happening at the time, remember what the question was, and the way he skated around things, like, will Gal Gadot come back? Will Ezra Miller come back? And the answer was always, we're going to keep the door open, which was code for, if the movies do well, we're going to be in a bad place. Basically, we want it to do well, but if those movies, if the Flash would have made, let's say hypothetically, the Flash would have made $800 million, and Shazam 2 would have made $600 million, and Aquaman 2 would have made $1 billion. James Gunn would be he'd have problems right now, because you look at the Batman. The Batman is a very successful movie that people want to see a second one to, because the first one was so successful and everyone loved it. If everyone loved those other movies, they would have problems. So
you don't think they contributed to the downfall of that era, though, with their announcements? Like, I don't think, when you said they wanted them to succeed, I don't think at that point they were like really hoping for the success of this.
I don't think James Gunn and Safran wanted them to succeed. I mean, well, Safran probably wanted Shazam because he had a producer credit on, but I mean, and so any on the other ones too. But business wise, it helps them that Warner Brothers does well. But like I said, they're in between a rock and a hard place, because it's like, what do we do here if these things really make money? But yes, they have to announce their slate. They have to say, listen, this is what we're doing moving forward. And it was like, that's why they always said, we'll keep the door open. They never were going to keep the door open. It's like the door hit all the actors right in the ass, except Momoa. It's like, hey, you know what? It's going to hit you in the ass, but it's going to turn you back around. You're going to turn into Lobo on the way back in. That's
There
all.
are still people out there who think that Gal Gadot is going to be Wonder Woman.
No world.
I mean,
not a chance.
I am not, guys. I am not people.
No, I know you are. I know.
Just saying because
you are a person, Rox. You're a person to me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Because of the door open comment, there's still so many people out there. And honestly, what I think would be really smart, and again, bear in mind that I've just been rereading All-Star Superman, so of course I'm all about Bizarro Superman right now. But like, is there a world in which Henry Cavill could continue in the DCU, not as Superman, but like the way that everything really worked in Deadpool and Wolverine with all of the cameos? Is there a world, maybe not in this one, but down the line, we get a Bizarro version of Henry Cavill or something along those lines? I think that'd be so much fun.
Well, that's two different things. Would it be fun? Right. Yes.
Would it happen? I don't know. I think it would be awesome.
I think there's no world where it happens. I think the bridges were just burned too badly for them to mend, even though they're pretending that it's, oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's great. No ill will. Bullshit. I think that Marvel is very likely. I'll tell you though, out of the three franchises, I think Star Wars is where he ends up. I think he's going to show up in Star Wars. Yeah. I think he's going to show up in Star Wars. In one thing or another. But he's got that Voltron movie coming out or whatever it is. But look, I don't necessarily think he got screwed, and it was horrible because he was out there promoting it. I remember him being on Josh Hartwitz shows saying he's coming back, he's doing this whole thing, he's promising. He got screwed. Out of everybody, he got screwed, and he never really had a chance to have his second movie here. People loved him as Superman. He got screwed. I don't blame Gunn. I don't blame Safran for it. They had a job, and we've talked about this, Roxy, too, so many different times. It wasn't in their vision. It wasn't in their vision to have him as Superman.
Okay, question for you guys in hindsight, because of what you just said, Kristian. I completely agree that he got screwed, but do you feel like people across the board loved him as Superman?
Yes, I do.
Mikey?
I think there is a corner of the internet that loves him as Superman.
Yeah.
I don't think the general public loves him as Superman. I don't think the general public loves his movie that he was in. I think the general public loves him as Superman. I'm telling you, if you put a poll up on
now in hindsight, Kristian, but it's interesting because I keep hearing people say that he was so loved as Superman at the time when week after week we were talking about the audience reception. He was getting slammed as Superman.
He was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He was like, he's wooden. He doesn't emote. He's this, he's that.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was getting slammed.
Do you remember, Rox? The backlash about, wow, he said 63 words in Batman vs. Superman. They were like going after him.
Yeah,
I remember him getting the stuff with the mustache and stuff, but I don't think that was.
Well, that was after. That was even later. But like during BVS or during BVS, he was not like, oh my God, the Superman that he is. He's awesome.
There was
the
a lot
movie's
of
not good, but he's
Superman.
awesome.
Yeah, like he was dark Superman. But it is interesting, Kristian, because you're not wrong in the fact that now when I listen to people, everybody refers to it as he was so loved. And I do, looking back, even myself included, I struggled with his performance in Man of Steel.
Really?
And going back, I much prefer it than when it came out. So
I think maybe that's what it is, because I like that movie from the get-go. And a lot of people have warmed to it since it came out. So maybe that's what it is. The same type of thing.
I've warmed to him so much. But I remember at first we would talk about it every weekend, and the big problems were that people didn't love him as Superman. But now everybody like rose-colored glasses with it, and not just rose-colored glasses. I also think that we've grown respect for what he did with the role, knowing everything that was going on behind the scenes, and that he did end up getting totally screwed. Yeah,
I think so too. What do you guys make of all this? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know. Do you think that he got screwed? Do you think he was a great Superman? Do you like James Gunn's comment? What do you think about, in general, the essence of what this new Superman could be? Put your thoughts in there.